It's time to take off your clothes, enjoy clothes-free living, and join us for Naked, Nudists, and Naturists.
Welcome to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, the show that celebrates clothes-free living for all. I'm your host, Frank Stone.
And I'm your correspondent, Lisa Monroe, and I'll be reporting on all things within the naturist community. So it's time to get naked and join us.
And enjoy clothes-free living on Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. Well, greetings and welcome into Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 47 today. We are glad that you are with us. We've been waiting all week for this moment, and we know that you have too. Our 47th week of broadcasting, our 47th consecutive show. And we come to you every Saturday morning, 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. We're here to enjoy the pool, the hot tub, the grill, the vegetables, the cold drinks, the hot drinks, the sunshine, the towels, the suntan lotion. It's all here. So let's enjoy this next hour together. ANDEE RODGERS will be on the show today. She and her husband Tom on that winter tour for ImPerfect, Wasatch Sun Club. We'll get their report from there today. Lisa Monroe will be in for a short segment with me. We will talk about the upcoming AANR elections and why you need to vote. Voting is going on right now, and it ends on June 20th. And then on today's show, boy, you picked a good show to be here. We have both candidates who are running for president for AANR, the current Vice President Tim Mullins, and also I am the face of naturism on social media, Linda Weber, both running for president of AANR and both on today's show. Let's kick off the show right now. ANDEE RODGERS and her husband Tom.
Hi, this is ANDEE.
And this is Tom on the Winter on Wheels ImPerfect tour.
So no high mountain passes on our drive from Denver to Salt Lake City, just a few hills in comparison. We drove through most of Wyoming on Highway 80, which is probably the best road we've driven on this entire trip. So far, we've logged about 3,500 miles on this trip, with another 1,000 to go before we're home. This stop was with the Wasatch Sun Club, and I sure hope I said that right. I advertised it as the Wasatch Naturist group, which is an entirely different group, and I'm so very sorry about that. Wasatch Sun Club. They were established in 2017 and have 50 to 75 members. However, when Mike sends out emails, they go out to approximately 200 people, and they are growing. Well, Mike, along with his girlfriend Jeanette, have been running an Airbnb since 2021, and that's where we met. It's a beautiful and comfy home with an absolutely adorable dog named Blue, who is ready to show you affection as soon as you step in the door. You can check it out at the wasatchsunclub.com. Since it was a midweek meeting, the turnout was smaller than if we would have been able to make it on the weekend, but we were so happy to be able to get together on our way through. People started arriving about 5:30, and we enjoyed dinner together while getting to know each other. And at 7, we split up into our groups. With 6 ladies in attendance, we had an intimate discussion together. I always begin with the statement that words are powerful, and they agreed that words absolutely have a huge impact on us, and they follow us through our lives. For me, and I believe for many women, it's the negative words that seem to echo in our minds. We're also very critical of our bodies. My entire life, I've never been happy with my body. Even when I weighed 115 pounds in high school, I hated it. Then I was 140 pounds after the babies, and I hated it. Now at 200 pounds, I finally accept my body for all it's done for me. My beautiful friend Diane put it best in her story for the WOW 2023 campaign, which is, she says, I am grateful for what my body does for me. My legs dance, my arms hug, my stretch marks remind me of my beautiful children, my wrinkles are laughter, gray hair, my sparkles. And then I read more of Diane's words from the body positivity flyer that I always hand out. And it says, after years of battling with our body image, we must learn to forgive negative feelings, acknowledge them, and realize they don't have to identify us. Let them go. Replace them with positive images, not of what we wish we could be, but of where we are right now, this moment. Know that it's absolutely okay to be who we are.
So we started the meeting out talking about our lives and how we got involved with naturism and then AANR. I talked about our first visit to SMR and how it became our home club. The question was asked, do we have single women come to our clubs? And I said, women returning to clubs is up to the men and how they treat women at the club. Our home clubs, when a single woman visits, we try to make sure the woman are their main contact to make them feel comfortable. I said it's okay to say hi and how are you doing, and maybe one or two questions are fine, but then move on. You don't want to overwhelm them. Don't follow them around. If she wants to continue the conversation, she will. If you see men at the club bothering a woman and making her uncomfortable, we ask him to stop and give him a warning. If the
In the club, son, it's okay.
In the clubs, people watch out for each other. I told him about a flyer Andy had created that is up in many of the clubs' bathrooms on what women can do if someone is bothering her or who she can talk to. We had quite a conversation about that. Then we talked about Andy's workshop, which focuses on mental well-being and the being strong. If she has one person out of the group that she has helped, one lady feels better about themselves, then it was a success. What she is trying to do is to install confidence in women. Another question was why the group is separated for this meeting. They felt men should hear what Andy was talking about, and I explained why, and I'm talking about it to them. Women need to get together without men there, because if a man is in the room, we have found that some women just will not talk. Men need to be together as men to build each other up. Women need to edify each other and make deeper, meaningful connections. These separated times together make us stronger when we are all together.
You can tell Tom's feeling a little under the weather. um, we're getting a little weary towards the end of our initial tour, but we're ready to press on. So at the meeting, we tried to keep it to an hour as many of the members had to work in the morning and still had a long drive ahead to get home. We did enjoy another hour of chatting together and sharing our stories. Tom and I talked to several people about joining us up north at either one of our home clubs: Serenity Mountain Retreat for our music festival in August, which is 4 days with 8 bands and just a ton of fun, or at Lake Bronson for one of its memorable weekends. They have fabulously themed dances and gorgeous grounds for hiking. One man in particular said he will definitely be vacationing in the Northwest this year. Fun fact, you just never know when you're going to meet someone who knows someone you know. That 7 degrees of separation was narrowed down to just one, or maybe it's two. When we found out Mike and Jeanette knew friends from Lake Bronson, it's such a small world. They met them at the Portland World Naked Bike Ride, and that is something because that event usually has 10,000 people at it. So if you're passing through Salt Lake City and need a comfortable naturist place to stay, Mike and Jeanette's home is a must. Maybe you'll get in on one of their events as well. And while there, you have got to check out the movie collection in the basement. It's an entire wall full of fabulous films and series. And Mike's also a Star Trek fan, as are Tom and I. His favorite is the original series, and ours is Voyager, which seems very appropriate since we are out on a trek of our own. So, until next time.
Hope to see you down the road.
And there you go, the latest report, Wasatch Sun Club from ANDEE RODGERS and her husband Tom. We thank them for everything. And let's get to it. The great, the one and only Lisa Monroe. And here she is, the perfectly clothes-free, the absolutely over-the-top smiling, the wonderful, the terrific, the one and only Lisa Monroe. Good morning, Lisa. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Frank. And how about you on this gorgeous day?
And not bad at all. We had an absolutely over-the-top whale of a time last week at our little naturist gathering. We need to do that again soon.
We should definitely do it soon. I think everyone had a good time. They stayed a lot longer than we expected. It was just fabulous. It was fabulous, and well, the pizza was good.
It was.
I will say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still think you're the pizza master, but
thanks. Well, we had put down noon to 5, and I think the last people left about 9:30 at night. So yes, it went a little long. That's okay. We had a good time and enjoyed it, and had great conversation, played a few games, few board games, like old people are supposed to do, as they say.
Naturist what do you call it old? No.
We also, had that one swimming contest that was kind of fun. I did not win. I'm not really a swimmer. I'm more of a runner than a swimmer, but a good time was had by all. Just want a quick update on that. And what we're doing today, as soon as you and I are done, in fact, we are going to play the interviews that I did with the two candidates who are running for the office of president for AANR. That's Tim Mullins and Linda WEBER. Tim Mullins is the current vice president, trying to move up to the big chair. Linda WEBER is the director, AANR West, out in California. She's trying to move up to the big chair, and it's the only office where more than one person is on the ballot. Everything else is a done deal, only one person running, that's it. The presidency has two people with two very different styles and agendas, and I think it's going to be great for people to hear each one of them today. And if they haven't made their choice, maybe this will help them make their choice. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's a terrific that you're going to have both of them together at the same time, because it does give people a chance to, hear them, not to read something here and then a few days later check out somebody else and you don't remember the differences or the plans or whatever. So it's very important, I think. And for anyone, these national associations mean something. They look like they're, top heavy sometimes and too much going on within that realm. But most people who belong to any kind of association, I know I've been part of women's business and professional clubs before, and we don't know at the lower levels what really goes on at the higher levels until you get a peek into it. And I was appointed to a national position once to fill out someone's term, and I didn't want to pursue it. I didn't really have time later, but I can tell you there's a lot of work that goes in, a lot of things that we don't know about. And so you need to look at someone who's competent, who has a good scope of what's important. And for naturism, they are the fine line. They're the line between keeping us having these new beaches and not having these new beaches.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize it. And they saved the day in Wisconsin. They were going to abolish all nudity because of some incident that somebody reported at the World Naked Bike Ride. It's like, come on, folks. Then don't go to the World Naked Bike Ride if it offends you.
Exactly.
But they were going to pass that law, and AANR got involved and said, hey, let's hold the phone here. Let's talk about this. And they got their lobby. They hired a lobbyist, in fact, as Mitch had told us. And they got the job done. So they are protecting our rights out there. We want everyone to join AANR if you can, and if that's something you'd like to do, because they're out there fighting for us. But today, Tim Mullins coming up next after you and I are done, followed by Linda WEBER, both running for president. It's going to be a great day, the rest of the show.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be one of the really important shows for naturism as a whole, to see the two people who want to lead this group, and capable people. So, take a listen, people.
Okay, and Lisa, with that, we are going to have to leave a short segment today because we want to make sure we have enough time to get in Tim Mullins and Linda WEBER running for president of AANR. Go out there and have a great close-free week. We'll see you next time.
You too, Frank. Take care.
All right, you too. The terrific Lisa Monroe. We thank her for her segments every week, as well as running our website. We'll hear from her again on next week's show. You are listening to Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 47 today. We thank you very much for being with us. And as time allows, please give us a like, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We do give you a brand new YouTube preview every Wednesday, 6 in the morning Eastern Time, then a brand new show every Saturday, 6 a.m. Eastern Time. That's all we ask in return. Like, review, subscribe, and we will be very appreciative for your effort on that. Thank you very much. Again, Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 47. Now let's interview the two people running for president of AANR, starting with the current vice president, my interview with Tim Mullins. So let's head out to California right now. We're going up to the Sacramento area because today is all about ANR, AANR, American Association for Nude Recreation. And we're going to talk to Tim Mullins. Tim is the current vice president of ANR, and he's running for president. And I have a line for him in just a few moments, but let's welcome him to the show this morning from California, the current vice president of ANR, running for president, Tim Mullins. Good morning, Tim. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you doing?
Doing well. I once decided I wanted to go for a really big job, like the head of the organization. And I thought there was a guy I knew who had been the head of several organizations before me, and he was giving a seminar on what you need to do to prepare. I thought, oh, I'll go to that. That'll be great. And so I went there, and he said, good morning, everybody. If you're thinking of going for the big position, I have one word for you, and that is run. Because when you're the head honcho, everything comes at you at once, and that is certainly true. But you've been involved with ANR for a long time, and I'll just list a couple of things here, and then you can certainly expound upon that. 14 years as a government affairs team chair. You're actually the chairperson of the government affairs team. We want to get into that a little bit. 6 years as an ANR member trustee, 4 years on ANR West Board of Directors, local nudist club president and officer. And as I mentioned, you're the current vice president. So you've had some administration skill and background, but you've also had some board work. And I shared with you before we started, being the leader, you can actually make things happen by noon today. If you're a board member, you have to collaborate and bob and weave and compromise, and who knows how it's going to shake out. But you've done both ends. So did I get your background fairly correct? Did I miss anything? Anything you want to expound upon?
Well, we'll expand on it a little bit. I can understand why you say run for office after that.
That's true.
You run for and you run against and run away.
Yeah.
I've actually been a member of ANR since the mid 1990s.
Okay.
I've been a nudist since my college days. My wife and I used to go skinny dipping at a spot above Lake Isabella in Kern County here in California. And I actually found ANR because we went to a nudist club, and I don't even remember which one it was now, but they had the bulletin and brochures on ANR at the club, and that's how I found ANR. There wasn't social media back then, not the availability we have now.
Right.
So it was a matter of writing to the office in Florida and waiting for a response back and discovering that there's a whole new world out there of nude recreation that today we would do in like 2 clicks of a mouse.
Yeah,
but
that's true. I can't imagine what life would be like, especially in the United States of America, without ANR. To be there to protect and guide and show us the way. But you said you've been a member for what, roughly 30 years or close to it?
Yeah.
Okay. And then how did you get involved with the leadership of this? I know you started locally, but what was it about ANR and about naturism, nudism that made you say, I'm Tim Mullins and I'm going to run for office and guide this thing along here? What was the impetus there?
The thing that got me involved with it was there was a proposal for changing the regulations in the Auburn area north of us here, where there's a nude beach, but it's quite a hike to get down to it. And there was a proposal to change the land zoning, or I guess it's land use for that. And they wanted people to testify as to what they'd like to see down there. And so with a couple of people that I had met locally in Sacramento, we organized like a little paragraph of stuff we wanted to say. And we went to this public hearing, and this is probably 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to the public hearings, it's a two-way street. You hear you can kind of begin to feel how the politicians are looking at it, and then they're listening to the members of the public talking about what they'd like to see, and you get a lot of different people talking on different subjects, like bikers wanted cross-country bike trails through there, and hikers wanted a separate area for hiking, and the nudists wanted an area where we could just relax and maybe have a campsite.
Mhm.
By the time I went up to speak, I had two paragraphs of what I was going to say, and got it down to like two sentences
Yeah.
to make sure I had that point. And I also got the address of where to mail my comments to for later.
Mhm.
So you begin to learn the process. Anner was very helpful in letting me borrow material that they already had from other public actions, and I found that cooperation to be very helpful for me personally.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the roles you've fulfilled here, and then we'll get into your actual platform for running for president of ANR. 14 years as a government affairs team chair. What is that? What has that involved, and what did you do, and what have you accomplished in that role?
The government affairs team, we call it GAT for short.
Okay.
Even though we say government affairs team, so you say the GAT team. The T and T is already there, but
Yeah.
we just ignore that. So the GAT team has gone. We went to Washington D.C. To meet with local legislators for each of the states, and we brought people from all over the U.S. And I think that's one of the things that really impressed me was the ability of the office in Florida to be able to organize getting all of the people from the regions to Washington D.C. for a week, and it was during Outdoor Recreation Week in August.
Okay.
And this is a event that a lot of people like Coleman and RV manufacturers and stuff like that, they all come to Washington at the same time because it's all about outdoor recreation. We tied that into ANR and the ability to use public lands. We also focused on the legislators for the local people from each of the states that was there who had maybe a bill pending that we had maybe we supported in the past or that we opposed, so that we could go talk to the local legislators with local people. One thing about all of this is that politics is always local.
Mm-hmm.
You can be on public media every day, but the people you have to impact the most is your local politician.
Right.
So the national organization gives us an ability to see people from all over the U.S. The local chapters, the local clubs, and the regions gives us the ability to take it down to the region that is specific to us. I want to give an example of that because, well, I say we went to Washington, D.C. We haven't done that in probably 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But locally, what we've done is based on those visits in Wisconsin lately. Just last summer, there was the World Naked Bike Ride
Right.
where they wanted to pass some legislation that would have outlawed that because there was a nude child riding on a bicycle with her mother. By having local people from that area go in and talk to their local legislators, we were able to defeat that bill. Wouldn't have had the ability to know the history of those legislators and the area they were in without the expertise of the office in Florida to get us the zip codes of the people that were members that lived there.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of you taking from all these different areas to specifically focus on a local issue.
Okay. Talking to Mitch London a few months ago when we had him on the show, he mentioned it's also good to know the names of attorneys who live in each state who are also ANR members. So you can call them up and say, hey, we have an issue in your backyard. Can you help? And I guess usually they do, or mostly they do.
Yeah.
So that's really what it comes down to when you're the chair of the government affairs team, as you were for 14 years. It's knowing how the system works and navigating it, and not just pontificating from a mountaintop. I decree this should be done, because the politicians will look at you and say, "What?"
Yeah.
But
They'll say that's my job.
yeah, yeah, you get them in their own backyard with their own people, and things tend to happen. Now, your role as the vice president of ANR, which is the role that you currently hold, a lot of times in organizations, heck, including our own country, the United States of America, the vice president doesn't, I don't want to say they don't do a lot. It's just the president is the president. That's the way it goes. Is ANR similar to that? Are you there in a support role? Do you have specific duties? I guess the question is, what have you done as vice president over these last 2 years?
The vice president's duties defined in the ANA ruling documents is to step in when the president isn't available.
Okay.
We had an instance this past year at one of the meetings. In fact, it was the midwinter meeting where Mitch had to do it online, but we had an in-person meeting.
Right.
So I did perform the functions of president for the in-person meeting while Mitch was online to take care of some of the other stuff. But because I'm the government affairs chair, I also had a big part with the meeting and telling people what had happened this last year with like with again with Wisconsin and then Oregon and now Hawaii. So the duties of specifically the vice president aren't very time consuming, but when you have other responsibilities, and with a small board like ours, everybody has other responsibilities.
Right.
That's where the time comes in.
Well, essentially, you need to know as much as the president knows because at any given
Right.
moment, you might get that call. Hey, Tim, we need you in 5 seconds to talk to
Yeah.
this crowd about this, that, or the other thing, and you have to be up to speed, right?
Yeah. I should also mention that we do meet weekly on a conference call.
Oh,
The officers do. So the president, the vice president, the treasurer, and the executive director in Florida, we have a weekly call so that the things that are going on within the organization are shared with the other members of the leadership team.
mhm.
And then every Friday, we send out a weekly update to anybody actually that signed up for it, but that includes the board, telling them what's been going on that week, the highlights of the week.
Okay. All right. Very good. Let's look at your platform now, the things on which you are actually running. I, Tim Mullins, if you elect me president, I'll do these things. One of them is commitment to discuss issues of concern raised by nudists. Can you tell me some of the concerns that have been raised so far and what's been done about them, either by you specifically or ANR? And then looking down the road, when you talk about a commitment to discuss, what does that mean? Will you open yourself up once a week, every day, once a month? I mean, how does that look in the Tim Mullins world? If I'm a member of ANR and by golly, I have a concern, how will it come to your attention? How will you deal with it?
Well, let's talk a little bit about what inspired me to run for president, probably.
Okay.
So I think that Anna's at a crossroads. We need leaders with the ability to pull things that in the organization that are working and make those stronger and look at the things that aren't working and say, what can we do to make this work? Or should we abandon these altogether?
Mhm.
You have to also work and look at these new technologies because the social media is becoming bigger and bigger. Anna was originally more club focused, and as we get more people out in social media doing things, we need to look at ways that we can provide more support to them without going to a specific club. Like if you want to go to your local skinny dip hole with a bunch of your friends, how can we support that effort as much as we have like the club efforts in the past? And when I talk about listening to the people, that relates back to a concern that people felt that Anner office in Florida wasn't very attuned to meeting their needs or answering their questions unless they were a club.
Mhm.
You know, more to the club, less the individual. We've changed that over the last couple of years, and it's something we still need to make a better effort with. And I think the Mullins administration would be doing that. In fact, I'll make sure Mullins administration is doing that.
Okay, so right now, if a nudist out there, whether your local swimming hole or a member of a club, has a concern, what is the method for contacting ANR, and what will be done about it, if anything? Sometimes you can't solve everything. Sometimes you have to
Right.
tell people, "Sorry, we can't do anything about this," but sometimes you can. And then, conversely, if there are any differences at all, what will that whole system look like under your leadership?
What it looks like now is that people can contact the office, the 1-800 try nude,
Right.
and they get connected to the office and they'll leave they'll ask their question, and then the office tries to find somebody that can help them with whatever their specific issue is, like how do I promote this event that I want to have next weekend, that kind of thing.
Okay.
In the past, Anna was no good at supporting something next weekend because all of our media takes so long to get out there. It was print media
Yeah.
and there wasn't websites. Well, now there's websites and you can put something out there on Monday. You can say, hey, this Saturday, I think I'll do something.
Mhm.
Now you can put stuff like that out on social media, and Anna needs to continue to improve our ability to be another method for people to get the message out. How that would actually work, I don't know. I'm working with the Secretary Treasurer David Levine, who's in there right now. He has some ideas for how we can make sure that ANR members can log in and maybe put their own post out that would show in like a calendar of events
Mhm.
that you could click on for the local areas. But that's still in the, we're really in the discovery stages right now. But that's something I think ANR could do better.
Well, I noticed in leadership, and one of my mentors told me this early on. I was still in my 20s. That's 183 years ago or so. But one of my mentors said, when somebody comes to you with something they perceive to be an issue or a problem, you might think, oh, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. This is not a problem at all. But to the person bringing it to you, it is the most important thing in their world at that moment. Is that how you see it as well? So when somebody comes, okay, somebody from some state called about they lost their shoes at their nudist resort and they want Anna to help. Well, it'd be easy to say, hey, sir, ma'am, go buy a new pair of shoes. We can't help it. Even if it's insignificant to Anna, but it's significant to the person calling in, do you agree it's a significant issue to them? And if so, what do you do?
But first, you have to acknowledge the person's concern.
Yeah.
When we were talking about the things that you do with calling the ANR office, the other thing you have is you've got my email address on that website every day.
Mhm.
And if anybody at any time wants to, they can just drop an email and it goes to the officers. All of the officers' emails are on the website. So if somebody calls the ANR office and they're unhappy with the results, they have the ability to go back to the website, get the address, and send something directly to me as president and or an officer. Now, as government affairs chair, I get a lot of those emails. I have a monthly column that goes in the bulletin, and when the new bulletin comes out, I usually get a dozen or so emails from somebody. They'll say, "Hey, I just saw in your column where you said this, or you talked to so and so from my area. Did you actually talk to that legislator?" Well, yes, I did actually talk to that legislator. If I told you I did, I did.
Right.
Or if I said I sent a letter, I can send you a copy of the letter that we sent. That's the kind of response you need to have for everybody's individual problem. Now, some are trivial. There's no doubt about it,
Right.
but it's very important to that person. So you need to find out what it is that made them that event rise to the occasion that they wanted to bring it to us, either at ANR or to a specific officer,
Right.
and try to resolve their issue for them in a reasonable manner.
Okay. Last question for you, Tim Mullins, who's current vice president of ANR. He's running for president. The vote is coming up soon. When somebody calls in with a complaint or an issue, and let's say they don't call you, they call the ANR office, they talk to somebody, and the somebody either pleases them or doesn't please them, and the person hangs up and throws the tomato against the wall. Well, ANR is no good. They didn't help me out at all. And then you don't know about it as a current vice president. You don't even know this conversation took place. But is there a way to track those phone calls? Such as, somebody takes the call at ANR and says, I talked to so and so about this, and he or she was not pleased. And then you or your secretary or somebody else on the board would have a responsibility to look over that chart each day, each week. Okay, we need person B to get on this because that person is still ticked off. Is there a plan in place for that now? Is that something you would see doing down the road, or am I kind of overshooting what I'm looking for here?
The ANR office does track the calls that come in now.
Okay, good.
I don't know the process within the office itself because the executive director is responsible for the staff in the office.
Mhm.
But he does follow up on calls that come in or calls that they make out because they call members that have not renewed to try to find out why they didn't renew.
Okay.
And they're doing that now, and then they'll get an idea of what the issue is that stopped the person from renewing. And sometimes you'll find that there's an inadequacy there, and how can we fix it so that the member would re-up? Sometimes it's a matter of just like getting that phone call.
Yeah. Yeah.
You call them and say, "Oh, I didn't realize I hadn't renewed," and how
Yeah.
important it is. So
Yeah. Or I guess they do care about me. So here's my check. It makes a big difference
yeah,
for sure. All right. Well, we've been talking to Tim Mullins. He's the current vice president of ANR. You've heard about his background, what he's looking to do, because he is running for president. So, Tim Mullins, if elected president of ANR, what will you be doing during the next 2 years, and why should people vote for you right now?
well, for the next 2 years, I think what we would be doing is expanding our outreach efforts to be at local events. I think I was mentioning earlier that we've gone like to Washington, we've gone to other areas. We go to Earth Day events like local.
Mhm.
I think going with other members of your local club to community events like that and showing them that nudists are just like everybody else. We just don't wear clothes when we do it.
Yeah.
Is one way that we can be expanding our presence in the local communities. And I think listening to the complaints that are coming in now of people that are unhappy with some aspect of the organization, we need to take a serious look at why they feel that way and what we can do to correct that perception. Because it's not always that the problem exists; it's that the perception is that there's a problem,
Yeah.
and that's very important that we show people what we're actually doing,
Yeah.
not what they might think we're doing.
Yeah, very well said. I had a boss tell me again back when I was in my 20s that perception is reality. If they think it's true, to them it is true. So it's your job to say, hey, folks, it's not true. And if you get out in front of it, so much the better, right?
Right.
All right. Well, we've been talking to Tim Mullins, running for president of ANDER. And Tim, do you know offhand the dates of the voting? I know it's not a 1 day voting thing, it goes over a few weeks, right?
But yeah, the voting opens on the beginning of May 1st, and runs into June. It's I believe it's the 15th or the 20th. I don't know because I usually vote early.
Okay, and Tim, before we go, you have a website out there, right? Maybe give that to our listeners so they can check it out.
Thank you. The website is ANRforward.com. That's AANRFORWARD.com, ANRforward.com.
All right.
And there's a spot there where you can leave me a message too.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Again, Tim Mullins, the current vice president of ANR, running for president in the current election. And Tim Mullins, go out there and have a great clothes-free day. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Frank.
You bet.
You too.
Thank you. And there you go, my complete interview with Tim Mullins, the current vice president for AANR. And of course, he is running for president. He wants your vote. And we always recommend reading everything, talk to everybody, get all of the information that you can possibly get on everybody, every candidate, every election, and make your vote count. How about that? And again, voting goes until June 20th, so you still have time. You do have to be an ANR member to vote. So if you are, make your vote count. How about that? The terrific Tim Mullins, and we thank him for all of his time. And now let's head to my interview with the other person who is running for president of AANR. She's currently a director with AANR West. True Blue Nude, I am the face of naturism. My interview with Linda Weber. We are headed out to California, the ANR elections, and we're right in the middle of it right now. It ends on June 20th. And we want to bring in the lady who is running for the presidency of AANR. Everybody knows her, the face of naturism, True Blue Nude, Linda Weber. Good morning, Linda. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Frank.
Good to have you here. Have you ever made a list of people in the world who do not know who you are? I'm guessing it'd be like on a 3x5 card. Your social media presence is out there.
That would be wonderful. That means that my message would be getting out. That's a goal.
You are on social media pretty much everywhere. I think every platform. There might be some I don't know about, but certainly Twitter. That's where you and I met. But you're on everything, right? MeWe, and you're on Instagram and Facebook and all that.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and that's how people got to know you, got the message out there. And as I've been telling women for about 173 years now, at least it feels like it, we need more women involved in naturism, because I can talk to women till I'm blue in the face and they'll believe me to a point. Some will believe me all the way. Some will stop short. But when a woman says it, it's like, okay, well, now I got it from a woman, so now I'm going to believe it all the way. And so that's why I'm glad you've been out there promoting naturism for all. And you've been doing that, what, about 5 years or so?
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah, I thought so, yeah. Now, of course, the big question, why would anybody want to be the president of anything? I've a little bit about my background, somewhat. I was the guy. I was the decider. I'm the head honcho, the big cheese, as they say, which on one hand is great, because when you make decisions and they work, the organization goes forward. If you make a bad decision, oops, it's on you. And even if you make great decisions, you'll still have people shooting at you, which is the normal human being behavior, I guess. So tell us why you're running for the presidency of AANR.
I thought very long and hard on this because I thought, wow, I'm moving up to the big chair. I've been a member for 5 years, and of those 5 years, I was on the ANR West board as a director. So I've have regional experience,
Mhm.
but I realized in that not only am I a director, but I'm a member.
Mhm.
So I have the perspective of both. And I just could see that we just were not hitting the mark. We aren't progressing that like we should. And so we are kind of behind the ball. And so I wanted to step up with some ideas. And I did a business plan, and some of them were well received and one wasn't. And I knew this was going to be controversial, but I decided I'm not going to shy away. We need to make the really difficult decisions, and we need to move the organization forward.
Okay. Now, I've been in situations personally where I was brought in for the specific purpose of changing everything, the status quo, changing it all, blow the place up. I had one boss tell me, I want you to figuratively blow the place up and rebuild it. Okay, I can do that. And another boss I had in a different position said, don't do anything that they haven't done for the last 50 years. So I've been in both extremes. But it's your belief that AANR, and this is according to your platform on their site, not the premier nudist organization right now. Is that true? I mean, first of all, is that your belief? But secondly, is that true in the world, or do we know that?
I From talking to members and our actions, I think that we've missed the mark. I think we've kind of fallen out of being in touch, and so our members are really what guide us, and they are our biggest asset. And I think we've kind of let them down, and it seems like we're not progressing. The landscape of nudism and naturism has changed, and it's a new world out there, and we're facing challenges that we haven't faced before.
Mhm.
And it's easy to fall into the, well, this is how we've always done it, or we don't want to deal with that, let's just keep the status quo. And it's a comfort level, we all have one. But if you're an organization and you are not evolving and recognizing what the threats are and what opportunities you have, that's why I think we've kind of fallen out of favor, and our membership is declining.
Okay.
And that's one of the things I want to address.
Okay. Now, why do you think it's gone downhill a little bit? And it's not changing with the times. And if so, what are the times, and what should be done to increase membership and just basically increase the performance of the organization?
Well, we're seeing threats of a bigger nature now as far as legislation. I mean, in the 50s and 60s, we did have that. And then we had some nice, smooth years. But now we're seeing that nudity is under fire. And a lot of times when legislation is written, it's for a specific purpose, but they try to catch a goldfish with a big fishing net, and we get stuck in that. And so, working with the legislation, we have a government action team, GAT, and they actually look for bills and things like that that say nudity, naturism, keywords. And we work with the legislator and say, hey, we know what your purpose is, but you're actually affecting our business. So let us explain what we are and what we aren't. And a lot of times that really, really works. And it's educating. It's a big thing about it is educating people. So we're seeing, and one, unfortunately, if one state does a bill, they kind of template to other states where they said, well, you did it. So, and and it worked.
Mhm.
We would like to do the same thing. And so that actually could, cripple a lot of the clubs and a lot of our nudist privileges. And so that's one thing that we haven't really, well, that's one thing what we really do well. And I'm glad about that because that is very crippling. Another challenge is that we don't really engage younger and marginalized communities. They
Mhm.
don't see themselves. And that's a lot of the conversation that I have is, it's my grandparents' newest organization. And I agree to a point because it, the highest utilizers, tend to be older men and they tend to be retired. So what kind of activities do you have? You have pickleball and a lot of things like that. Well, younger people want something different. They want
Mhm.
fun, and they
Right.
want to do things their way, which is not necessarily the wrong way, but and we shouldn't call it that, but it scares people that aren't of that thinking. And so when, I talk to younger people, they'll say, well, why should I join? Because, there's really nothing for me. Or marginalized people of color, they say, I don't see myself. And so I don't think we've done a good enough job to try to capture that market. And they're out there, they're starting their own clubs. So we know
Mhm.
that they're out there. And so what I want to do is, I obviously am not 30 years old. I know, shocking, but I'm not 30, so why would I expect somebody that's younger to listen to me? And
Right.
why would I think that I know what they want? And so I want to establish a youth and diversity council, advisory council, and youth are really excited about it. I've already got two people that would like to go that have contacted me from my social media. I've got Nude Revolution, which is a social
Uh-huh.
media platform that really attracts younger people, and they do great
Yeah.
events.
Yeah.
And they are wholeheartedly endorsing me because they see the writing on the wall. They see that I want change. They see that I want to embrace all. And that's exciting to me because that's what I want to see. I want to see the fact that we say that we embrace nudism and naturism for all, and I'd actually like to see that implemented.
Okay, so if you establish a youth council, obviously they'll be excited and ready to go, and they'll come up with ideas. I guarantee a council will come up with ideas. How do we get those implemented, even if it's against the traditions of ANR? It's like, we're all 25 years old. We have this great idea. I know if you're 50, 60, 110, you don't like it, but we want it. And if you do it, we'll join. What's the process then? The council recommends it to you. Can you just say, great, we're doing it? Do you have to go to a board? How does the process work?
Well, as a president, I would be the leader of the board. So I don't
Okay.
have, autonomy to do that, which is
Okay.
great because we need
Yeah.
voices on the table. And we
Right.
have a board of trustees. And so what I need to impress upon them is, we're worried about membership. We want our numbers to go up. We want our membership to grow. And we can't keep, on this course because it's obviously not working. So how do we do that? We put things in place where members want to join, where they
Mhm.
see the value in joining. They see the value for their dollar, so to speak.
Right.
And we've kind of made some missteps. Physically, we have to be fiscally, we have to be responsible. Unfortunately, sometimes we make decisions that will keep our bottom line, in the black, but they have disenfranchised some of our members. And
Mm.
so I have listened to every one of those concerns and said, if one person says that, probably 10 other people are thinking
Right.
the same thing. So
Right.
that's what I want to look at, some of the takeaways that we've done for the members. And so I'm looking at other ways instead of just focusing on let's get members. Why don't we focus on how we are going to get those members? What are we going to provide that will make people flock to our door?
Well, not only flock to your door, but keep them at inside for a long time, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the whole
Yeah.
plan. Is it's not just a flash in the pan thing. It's
Right.
a real initiative that I want to show that we are dedicated to it. And
Okay.
so that's why I'm really excited because I've got other people excited. And if they're excited, they're going to, spread the word. And I think that's really what's going to be the impetus of it.
Okay. Now, before we start, I mentioned the name Jonathan Ward to you. He's in charge of Young British Naturism, a part of British Naturism, and his job is to get and corral the 35 and under crowd. I think it's 18 to 35 or whatever they do. Once you hit 35, you're out of YBN, but then you're in BN. You already have a membership there. And so it gets people involved at age 20 and 25 and 30 up to 35. This is cool and exciting, and I enjoy this. We're doing a lot of great things with people roughly my age, if you're 18 to 35. And now that I'm 35, hey, I'm going to stay in here because this is so great. Any thoughts about that to have a designated section, whatever you'd call it, a youth at AANR? Is that even a possibility?
Well, that's why I wanted to do a youth and diversity because I think some of it goes hand in hand.
Okay.
And British Naturism has done a wonderful job with how they have made their council and their different people that are not on the board, but they have regional folks just like we do. uh,
Mm.
I wanted to do youth and diversity because I think it kind of goes hand in hand.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that we want to get them engaged, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I've talked to other younger uh, organizations, and if they're doing something, that works. Why don't we partner with them? We don't have to create everything. And if
Right.
we partner with some of those people, like the Nude Revolution, where they've already got something successful and we can help them, that just adds on to them. And then they get to know our organization. So there's a lot of alliances that I've done where I'm not going to have to do a lot of work to try to create the wheel. We've already got that. So let's bring those people in, embrace them, and let them know that they've got options.
Yeah. Well, I talked to a woman. We did a short interview a few months ago, and she's an African American. And her whole premise was, I don't feel welcome at nudist clubs because it's almost all white. We walk in and people are like, well, what's going on here? And while we were talking, I thought I had heard of a Black Naturist Association. And I looked it up while we were talking. I said, yeah, here it is, and she didn't even know about it. As an African American Black person, she didn't know it was a Black Naturist Association. And we've tried to get them on the show. We haven't been able to yet. But somebody or a few somebodies decided, we're Black. We don't feel comfortable at the traditional nudist club. We're going to start our own dang organization. Is there any way to get them in the fold with ANR at some point down the road or during your tenure?
They are actually 100% AANR club. So
Oh, very good.
they're there. I've actually talked to some of the great ladies, Shatora, and I said, you know, I know why you started it, and I'm sorry that you had to start one by
Yeah,
yourself because you didn't see yourself. And
yeah,
so they've got something successful. So if I could get them to, kind of say, okay, we would like to maybe partner with you on some things, they've already got something established. And
yeah.
so, and they are all AANR members. So it's just
Mhm.
getting them to be a little more visible. And I even said, if you cut, they're on the East Coast, but they have members
Okay.
all over the United States. And I said, if you
Right.
come to the West Coast, we can partner. And that's going to be even more, we're going to, that's what I really want to push forward now is once I'm president is to go ahead and do those alliances. I've made them socially just for myself and to, educate about nudism and naturism. But now it's go time. It's time to really draw on those and really bring them into the fold.
Yeah. I can't think of the expression, but is it high tide lifts all boats or something like that? It sounds a little
And
bit.
it's true.
Yeah, it
Or
is. Yeah,
or you say, like my candle will light your candle and it will light the world.
yeah,
It's one of those things that I want to actually unify and work with other regional, other organizations and federations because we seem to have this adversarial type, where we're all drawing on the same people. And we don't need to be that. I'm
yeah.
members of, many organizations and I'm very participatory with them. And I say, if we have good ideas, I'll share them. If you have good ideas, can I share them? Because we need to actually unite. We're such a small niche in the real scheme of these things, and it's just
Yeah.
why don't we work together? Why don't we, draw upon each other's strengths? And I think that's what is going to be really key is when people see that there is a big united group and that we are cohesive and we work together. Then I think it's really going to resonate with them, and they're going to say, "Wow, this is a community I want to be a part of."
Well, yeah, and I've seen this happen time and time again where let's say you have four factions. I have my little deal here, you have yours, and she and he, and then somehow they combine, they realize we just put all of our resources together and look how much better off we are on day one, let alone day, 10 years down the road. And so you see that as a possibility or something you will definitely actively pursue, right?
Yes, because I've already done it in my
Yeah.
advocacy anyway. And
Okay.
so by bringing this to the table and saying this is something that will make us stronger and we need to stop. And there's businesses too. There's businesses that, advocate for nudism and naturism. Why not bring them into the fold? Because they've got good ideas. They obviously exist. So they
Yeah.
have some measure of success. So why not have all voices at the table? Because we're going to have uh, diverse ideas and things like that. And maybe there's things that we haven't thought of. So why
Right.
not? Why not listen?
Yeah. No, no, I agree with you. And I think that's the way to go. We get everybody at the table. Now, that doesn't mean everybody will be happy because when you get to the table, everybody's goal is to get a piece of the action for themselves. Especially if I have my own little deal off to the right here. If I'm going to combine with you, I don't want to lose any ground. Is there a way to guarantee that, or not necessarily, that everybody at the table will walk away with something that they didn't have before?
Well, that's what I hope that I could get, some alignment and some agreement. The more people you have,
Yeah.
the more possible ideas that may either go or not going to go. So the more voices is good, and it also can, be a detriment. But if that's what I want to do, is show the benefit, is if you align with us, this is what we can provide, and then we can champion you. And if they see that there's a benefit, and we've got nudism and naturism and wanting to keep it for, future generations, all as a goal. And so
Yeah.
why not work together? That's really my goal.
Yeah, and there is a bit of a risk, as you mentioned, it's a small niche community to begin with. If we hang on to the tiny piece of that niche that we own, we might find out it's all gone someday. So we're probably better off banding together, right?
Yeah, there's strength in numbers, especially with the
Yeah.
legislation. When
Oh
they see
gosh.
that they've got, more than 30,000, members just within AANR, plus we have
Yeah.
all these other organizations, they're going to see an army of nudists and not realize that, hey, they really do exist, and they exist in big numbers. Maybe that's a segment that we need to listen to.
Yeah, definitely. Last question for you. We're talking to Linda Weber here. Now, you've been and still are, I believe, one of the directors on the ANDEE board and out west. Is that right?
Yes, my term ends in July, and actually, I served two terms of 2 years, and so I
Okay.
will be termed out, and so I can no longer be a director within that region. So it's kind of perfect timing for me to actually step up.
Okay. Now, the question I've been asked, so I will ask you, is obviously your opponent has had national experience with ANDEE. He's the current vice president. You've not had national experience. You've had regional, local experience. Plus, I believe you managed teams during your career. Why are you qualified to make the big move without maybe an intermediate move? You're just going from one of seven regions, I believe, to the head chair. Why are you qualified to do that?
Well, the genesis basically came at one of the AANR board meetings,
Okay.
where our member marketing person said, we need membership. What are we going to do? And so I really kind of took that, and I developed a whole business plan, and I submitted it to our member marketing, and a lot of it was very well received. And one of the initiatives wasn't, so I took that out. But I said, let's turn this over and see if we could administer it. And a lot of people said, you need to do that. That's something really that you need to champion, because it's not doing business as it was before.
Yeah.
And so I realized that I had a lot of support, and that I needed, if I was going to be the change agent, I couldn't expect somebody else to do my job for me. So why not do that? And I understand that I don't have that, but a lot of the great leaders that started in nudism, they didn't have that, benefit of, a board and all that experience. They just kind of
Right.
blaze a trail. But
Right.
I don't have any of the preconceived notions that I think are keeping us back. And so it just like regular politics, when you have people that are lifers in there, they want status quo. They don't want to have anything that, changes anything. And we need change. If we are going to evolve, we need change, and we need it now.
All right. Very well said. And now we're on May 18th today. I believe the voting goes all the way to June 20th. Is that right?
That's correct.
And each member can vote, and they vote online.
In the bulletin, which is the magazine for AANR, it will have all the instructions. And if you have a valid email with AANR, you will get an email that says, here, click this to either do it online or do it over the phone. So it's at their convenience right there.
All right. Well, best wishes to you. We're talking to Linda Weber. She is running for the presidency of AANR, American Association for Nude Recreation. And Linda, as I said, best wishes. Go out there and have a great close-free day. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you. And there you go, my complete interview with Linda Weber. I am the face of naturism, True Blue Nude on social media, current director with AANR West, running for the presidency of AANR. And we thank the terrific Linda Weber for all of her time on today's show. Well, you've heard from each candidate now. Tim Mullins, Linda Weber. Time to make your choice. Get that ballot filled out. Don't let that opportunity be lost. And we send best wishes to each of those two candidates. Don't forget to join us again next week, Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 48, when you'll hear part 2 of my interview with the very terrific ANDEE RODGERS. Thank you for being with us today on Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 47 today. We give you a brand new show every Saturday morning at 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Continue to join us. Check us out on our website, nakednudistandnaturist.com, Spotify, Google, Amazon/Audible, Apple Podcasts, and also on Twitter. You can write us anywhere, anytime, any place. And we thank you for being with us today. Plan to join us for every single one of our shows here and have your clothes off when you're listening. We have our clothes off when we're broadcasting, enjoying the naturist life.
We celebrate clothes-free living for all. Remember to enjoy being naked and join us again for Naked Nudists and Naturists.
We drop a brand new show every Saturday morning, so come back and join us. Have your clothes off when you do for Naked Nudists and Naturists. Have a great clothes-free day.